Windows Report dropped an update and some new official images of the Lenovo Legion Go a few hours ago that brings us a ton of information on the device. Let's take a look and review what we can learn from this. Link to them in the description below. Let's start with the images. Here's a front-facing image of the Lenovo Legion Go. The first thing I noticed was the trackpad in the bottom right. Trackpads are becoming a staple in these handhelds thanks to the Steam Deck. You'll also notice RGB lights under the joysticks, something that we've seen in these devices before, going all the way back to the Aya Neo Air from last year. It's a welcome addition though. Most people like RGB. Two more subtle features are visible. On the right, you'll see what looks like a right shoulder button wrapping around into what looks like a programmable button. That's interesting. I'm hoping that it won't have any kind of interference pressing one or the other. Lastly, there are these huge lines between the screen and controller, and you know what that means? Removable controllers. Yeah, that's right. Some inspiration taken from the Nintendo Switch. There's quite a bit going on in this photo. You'll notice 3 new buttons not visible from the last image, 2 on the left and 1 on the right, which are likely more programmable buttons. Interestingly, there's also what looks like a scroll wheel here. That's a first on these devices. We also get a glimpse of what the controller connector looks like. It does not look like it uses a full slide rail like the Nintendo Switch, but more of an insert and lock mechanism. I personally like this because in tablet mode, it will look so much better than with the empty rails hanging out. And you can kind of see that in this image already. This looks like a really nice device, like as a tablet alone. The release button for the controller might be these little buttons down here on the bottom on both sides. I'm really hoping we get some sort of grip accessory to combine these controllers like you get with a Nintendo Switch. And if not, hey Lenovo, I design and 3D print stuff, so I'm happy to do that too. There's also 5 pogo pins on either side, and I'm hoping that means wired communication when docked with the device. That means we're going to get the lowest latency possible when it's connected. This is kind of like the Switch, where it doesn't use wireless communication when docked with the tablet. In this image, we get a better look at the programmable side buttons labeled M1 and M2. The shoulder button kind of transitions into M1, which is interesting, but like I said before, I hope there's no interference between pressing one or the other. There's also something going on at the bottom of this controller. It's hard to tell what, but it could be a toggle switch or a pairing button, but these pictures aren't that great. It's really hard to tell. Lastly, we have the back of the device, and we learned that this has a really beefy kickstand, and I am loving this. It's going to make this rock solid to use propped up on a table with the wireless controllers. And wait, there are more buttons. On top of the M1 and M2 we already saw, we can see that there are M3 and an M4 on the back, and we see that the other buttons we saw in the previous image are labeled Y1 and Y2. We can see a power button up top, along with a headphone jack, the exhaust for the fan, what looks like a micro SD card and a USB-C port, and 2 presumably volume buttons. There's an air intake grate that runs across the entire back, which I hope means excellent cooling. And take a look at those trigger buttons. Those have some really nice curve. That's it for photos, but the article does give us a bit more information. It confirms there will be a top and bottom USB-C port. This is wonderful news. Wonderful, wonderful news. Thank you, Lenovo, for not torturing us with a single USB-C port, unlike the ROG Ally and Steam Deck. Our article also confirms the micro SD cards that we saw in the top image. And lastly, it also confirms the use of AMD Phoenix chips, which most likely means the Z1 Extreme. I'm very excited for this, Lenovo. You look to be bringing a well-rounded device to market that is feature-packed. I can't wait to hear more info about this device. And Lenovo, if you're watching this, please give us USB 4 on this device. I would love to use Thunderbolt eGPUs on this. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Maybe even subscribe, and thanks for watching.